Okay, this one is a beast, but don't give up. You can do this. Keep it neat, and we'll get through it together. Okay, so we've got x squared minus x minus 6, and then we've got this whole massive piece here. We've got x to the 5th plus 4x to the 4th minus 13x to the 3rd minus 52x squared plus 36x plus 144. You need to do this on a separate sheet of notebook paper? I understand. Okay, so x squared into x to the 5th is x to the 3rd. Now we're using the distributive property. We get x to the 5th plus x to the 4th and 6x to the 3rd. Now let's make sure I got my signs right here. So this was a positive, so I'm changing this to a negative. This was a negative when I multiplied negative x and positive x to the 3rd, so that gives me a positive when I switch the signs. This, multiplying these two, gave me a negative, so this is a positive. Okay, I'll try to do a little bit better with talking through those so you don't get confused. Okay, so here we have 5x to the 4th, and here we have negative 7x to the 3rd. I think I'm all right on that. Now, you can bring this 52x, negative 52x squared down, or you can just kind of remember that it's there. I usually just kind of remember that it's there because I keep it neat. Okay, so now we're taking x squared, this x squared, into 5x to the 4th, all right, which is going to give me 5x to the 2nd, positive 5x to the 2nd. Now I'm ready to multiply 5x squared times all of this stuff right here, okay? So just get to it. 5x to the 4th, change the sign, that makes it negative, and then here we have negative x times 5x squared, that gives me negative 5x to the 3rd, change the sign, that gives me positive 5x to the 3rd, and then I have negative 6 times 5x squared, which gives me negative 30x squared, change that, that gives me positive 30x squared plus 30x squared, add this stuff all together, and I should end up with negative 2x cubed. This should give me negative 22x squared. Still with me? Okay, now I'm ready to take x squared into negative 2x cubed. Well, that gives me negative 2x. All right, now I'm ready to multiply this negative 2x times all of this stuff again. So that gives me negative 2x to the 3rd. Change the sign, though, so that gives me positive 2x to the 3rd. Negative 2x times this negative x, which gives me positive 2x squared. Change the sign, which makes it negative 2x squared. Man, there's so much stuff to keep track of, isn't there? Okay, and then we have negative 2x times negative 6. That gives me positive 12x, but I'm changing the sign, so that makes it negative 12x. Do you see how I have it lined up right here? Yeah, if you keep it neat, it really goes very well. All right, so this cancels out. We get negative 24x squared, and then this gives me plus 24x. Okay, so now let's go again. We have x squared into negative 24x squared. Well, that's negative 24, right? Okay, multiply it back. We get negative 24x squared, but that makes it positive 24x squared because I'm changing the sign. Then I have negative 24 times negative x. Well, that's equal to positive 24x, but I have to change the sign, so that's negative 24x. And then we have negative 24 times negative 6, which is positive 144, but I have to change the sign, that makes it negative 144. Do you see what's happening here? Boom, the remainder is 0. Well, what do you know? Okay, so now we just did letter A, and you should be very proud of yourself if you stuck with it that whole time. I'm very, very impressed with you. Okay, now we get to use synthetic division. Thank heavens. Okay, so what they're saying is divide the quotient of part A, this is the quotient of part A, by x plus 5. Okay, well, we can do that. And actually, I thought we were going to run out of room, but we're just fine. So remember, we changed the sign when we set up synthetic division. So I have my negative 5 here. Now, do I have to include any 0 placeholders? No, I don't, because here I have x to the 3rd, here I have x squared, x to the 1st, and then here's like my x to the 0 power, technically. Okay, so let's go. We have a 1, we have a 5, we have a negative 2, and we have a negative 24. Now, I know that some of you missed this on lesson 55 because you didn't recognize that you have to keep adding numbers. Do you see you have to keep adding numbers until you get to x to the 0 power? So for example, if this negative 24 wouldn't even be here, and it would just stop with negative 2x, we would need this negative 2 here. Oh yes, we would. But we would also need something that holds the place of the x to the 0 power. So if there were no negative 24 here, we'd actually have to put a 0 right in there. Be aware of that, because I think there was a couple on lesson 55 that if you didn't pay attention to that, you actually ended up with the wrong. It's like you had them almost all right, but then at the end you went wrong. It's because you didn't include the placeholder for the one that represents x to the 0 power. Okay, I'm done talking about that. Let's do some synthetic division. Okay, pull down the 1 here. All right, now we have 1 times negative 5, which 1 times negative 5, which gives us negative 5. Add these two together, we get 0. Multiply 0 times negative 5, that gives me 0. Add these two together, we get negative 2. Multiply negative 2 times negative 5, that gives me positive 10. Okay, and then we have negative 14. Well, it looks like we're going to have a remainder. That's okay. You know how to do this. Okay, so this is the remainder, right? And then this is the x to the 0 part. This is the x to the first part, and this is the x to the second part. So, no problem. No problem, people. We can do this, all right? So we just write, as our final answer, we write x squared, well, this is equal to 0, so we don't have to mess with that, minus 2. Well, is it just minus 2? Yeah, because x to the 0 power is equal to 1. 1 times negative 2 is negative 2. And then your remainder, which is minus 14 over, what was our initial part? X plus 5. So we have x plus 5. Okay? Now, if you would have rather, you could also have written it like this. You could have also said x squared minus 2 plus, and then negative 14 in the numerator here, x plus 5. I don't care how you do that as long as you know what you're doing. Okay.